guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're returning, welcome for the first time. If this is your first time here, I'm so happy to have you. And I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing awesome. I hope you are healthy in, all the things. Yeah, I hope you're doing great. So let's dig right in, shall we? I wanted to come on here today and talk with you guys a bit about the problem with the left, as I see it. Nobody's perfect. No people are perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. And generally, as leftists, we like to think of ourselves as desiring societal change and growth, right? We acknowledge that society as a whole has a lot of problems, and we would like to see it grow and change and become better for all of us. At least that's how I understand leftism, and I know a lot of leftists out there would agree with me. So, and I hate to use the term cancel culture because that has been co-opted by the right to mean anything that they don't like. But I've noticed a phenomenon of behaviors on the left that don't really align with that ideal of learning and growing and becoming better. Here's the bottom line. When right-wingers f*** up, they don't apologize. When right-wingers make mistakes, they do not own up to them, and generally, more often than not, they will double down. I mean, just look at people like Ted Cruz. Look at people like Tom Cotton. Right-wingers can do no wrong in their own eyes or in the eyes of the right. Look at people like Trump. I mean, you want to talk about mistakes? The man has gone completely bankrupt 6 times, and yet he's still a good businessman. I can't.
The number you have dialed.
So when the right uses the phrase cancel culture, most often what they mean is being called out for doing stuff, like being racist or homophobic or extremely toxic or like incredibly sexist or something. Being called out for that and being chastised for that. And then they invoke the right of free speech to justify whatever actions they have committed in the past. The thing that they don't realize about free speech, though, is that free speech under the First Amendment protects you from the government retaliating on you for things that you say, but not from the consequences of saying those things socially, right? So as a society, we've grown to realize how shitty racism is and how terrible we've been to Black people in this country. So when someone says something racist online and people get mad, it's not cancel culture. It's just social repercussions to portraying yourself as a shitty person. So from my observations in my time in the online left, as I see it, the problem with the right is that they do not acknowledge or own any of their mistakes. And more often times they double down on them. And more often than not, they won't even acknowledge that what they did was wrong. I mean, just look at someone like Roy Moore. He was dragged over the coals and it did not prevent him from running for Senate again and completely denying that he did anything wrong when he touched and forcibly kissed girls that were underage against their will. If that's not wrong, we are living in a more f***ed up society than I realized. And then they whine and scream cancel culture when people don't like it. Whereas, the problem with the left, is the cancel culture. For a prime example of this, and I know I'm going to probably make people mad bringing this up, but so I think of someone like Franken, right? Who, yes, was accused of doing something reprehensible. It was not right what he did. So I remember the photo coming out of him doing this that sparked the whole scandal. This newscaster, Leanne Tweeden, accused him of kissing her forcibly. And then later a photo came out of him pretending to grope her, not actually touching her, but like jokingly, which is disgusting. I mean, come on. We talk about toxic masculinity, and that is a result of that, right? Men feeling and portraying that them being entitled to women's bodies is somehow a joke. That kind of ties in with all of that. However, Al Franken was forced to resign. People called for his resignation over this, and as far as we know, this is the only allegation that has come out against him, and it wasn't anything as serious as what a lot of the Republican politicians have been accused of, right? But he was forced to resign. People called for his resignation, and he gave it to them. And he is now living somewhere in obscurity, completely having been publicly shamed and humiliated about this, and we'll probably never hear from him again. And in my mind, that is a damn shame, because Al Franken was one of the most progressive, left-leaning allies that we had in the Senate. And he fought constantly for leftist ideals and policies. And instead of, you know, if this were a Republican having been accused of something like this, they would have just shrugged it off. Oh, he was just being a guy. Boys will be boys, right? Whatever, it doesn't matter. He didn't hurt anyone. But because it happened on the left, Democrats and people on the left flipped out. And he was forced to resign in shame, and we lost one of our biggest, best, most accomplished leftist allies that we had in the Congress. So that's the real dichotomy that I see between like the toxicity on the right versus the toxicity on the left. Toxicity on the right is like embraced and shrugged aside and justified and doubled down on, and just, you know, it doesn't seem to make a big difference. Whereas the toxicity on the left comes from the other side of things. So somebody may have done something, you know, made a mistake, and people make mistakes, right? People make mistakes. And part of what I think separates us as leftists from the right-wingers is that we go, yeah, you made a mistake, and we see you as still a valid human being, no matter what your past actions were, and we acknowledge that you have learned and grown from this, and you're not that it's a clean slate, not that we forget, right? We still have to hold people accountable, but that it does not influence their ability to do their job and be leftist allies. But the toxicity of it is that the left will rake these people over the coals and completely publicly shame and humiliate them into obscurity, and is completely antithetical to our own interests. So we literally cancel people. The right likes to complain about cancel culture. You know who the real cancel culture is? It's the left, guys. It's us. We're doing it to ourselves. Which does not say a lot of great things about our stance on prison reform and prisoner rehabilitation and things like that. Because the whole premise of that is that people can learn and grow and change. But we look at mistakes that people made years ago in the past and hold it against them forever, to a point where it destroys their career and their credibility. And that is not okay. That is not okay. It makes me really angry. Yeah, I like to think that as progressives, we're able to look beyond the mistakes of the past and learn from our past actions and become better people. That's like the point of growth. So just because somebody said something or did something that was horrible years ago doesn't mean that we shouldn't reproach them for it. But it also doesn't mean that we should hold them to this impossible standard of never having ever made a mistake in their lives. And if we find out that they did, then they're canceled. Done. We would rather that people not be a little bit uncomfortable than to actually get the progressive change that we are fighting for. And I think that's a problem. So that's my 2 cents. that's what I think is wrong with the left and the dichotomy between right-leaning toxicity and left-leaning toxicity. But tell me what you think. Is this a problem for you? Do you think that people should be canceled if we find out that they did one thing ever that was mildly distasteful, that we can't learn and grow and forgive them? I'm being I'm being a little biased in my language here, but yeah, so comment below, let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you, and let me know if you've ever had an experience, if you're, a left-winger or a right-winger, what your experience with these different types of toxic cultures has been. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video, no pressure, but it does help me out a lot since I am a new kind of new channel, just kind of starting out a little bit. So yes, thank you in advance, and I will catch you next time. All right, have a great one.